Meetings are ongoing in and around Manchester United as they want to do business in the January window. It's good that they want to do business. Apparently, they want to do loan deals. I'd rather it be more ambitious, permanent deals. But it's not just one position they want, it's two. It's centre mid and left wing. Now, I know that we tried to go for a left winger right at the beginning of the window in Semenyo, but United is still looking at the left wing market on top of the ultimate priority, midfield. Has our secret midfield target been revealed? We're going to talk about some links that have come out today to a said midfielder or two. We're going to talk about the plans for Mainoo. We're going to talk about Sekou Kone going out on loan, Fredrickson going out on loan, and De Zerbi has been asked about the Manchester United job, and we'll get into his response to that. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show, where we're going to round up all the latest Manchester United news into a 10-minute video for you guys. Of course, let me know your thoughts down below. Feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video, and if you're new and want daily Manchester United updates, feel free to subscribe. Let's get into the first story, which is on Mainoo. One of the first things Carrick did when he took over was to take Kobbie Mainoo aside and reassure him that he is central to his plans for the rest of the season. He has been encouraged by what he's seen and heard from Carrick and is now happy to stay if he's going to have regular game time. I thought Kobbie was phenomenal versus Manchester City, especially because that's his first start in the Premier League this season. I was worried he might be a bit rusty, but I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. We don't have many midfield options, and I believe that Kobbie is better player than Agate. And I think Kobbie, Bruno, and Casemiro should be on midfield free to the end of the season if we don't bring anyone in. I think Kobbie Mainoo is too talented for Man United to be letting go and selling on the cheap. You know, he's still young. He's going to have bad games. He's not going to be perfect every game. He's going to make mistakes. And he's still growing and learning as a player. But there's no doubt in my mind that Kobbie is such a talented midfielder. And a large section of the fan base have wrote Kobbie off because Amarin didn't like him and he's not been getting a load of minutes lately. And when he did get minutes last season, he wasn't amazing. But then the amount of times he was played out of position, you could argue. But I saw so much of Kobbie Mainoo in that season under Ten Hag. But I just knew that this kid's going to the top, you know, for England, the FA Cup final. And even there was cameos he made, like off the bench when we lost 3-0 to City, where he was the best player on the pitch. The Grimsby game was atrocious, but he was the best player in that starting 11. You know, I think that Kobbie should have probably got more minutes under Amarin in the season. And I think one of the positives of Carrick coming in is I think a player like Kobbie Mainoo will hopefully change his mind and want to stay at Man United, because I know a lot of people are turning on Kobbie because, you know, they back Amarin on it. But I think that Kobbie is such a talented player. And I think we're seeing signs of that. And the big concern around Kobbie wasn't technically. We know he's technically gifted, it's physically. But we're seeing stats like Kobbie Mainoo versus Man City 77. Kobbie actually also covered the most distance of any Manchester United player out of possession in the Manchester derby as well. He covered an immense amount of distance. And, you know, there's been that sort of, you know, Kobbie doesn't have the legs. But I think he does. He's not a physical monster midfielder. He's not nearly Anderson out of possession. But Kobbie did a lot of running, a lot of pressing out of possession, you know, and I thought he wouldn't be matched up. I thought he'd tire at the end, but he kept going, he kept running, and I was impressed with that because we know he's got technical ability. It's more the runs, the movements, and he proved in the game that actually he was covering the most ground out of possession in our squad. He was making a lot of high presses. So, yeah, I was super impressed with what we saw from Kobbie Mainoo, and let's hope we see more of it. But look, we need a midfielder. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And it looks like Man United are ready to do something. United is still deciding whether to sign a midfielder this month. A key meeting will take place this week involving Carrick, Wilcox, Bivol, and senior football staff. This was also said by other sources a few days ago. Midfield targets have been under consideration since summer. A left winger has also been discussed as possible addition. Moves for Ruben Neves and Loftus-Cheek are unlikely. So the important bit they add is that Ruben Neves and Loftus-Cheek are unlikely. We've obviously been linked to Loftus-Cheek a little bit. They've ruled that out. They said left wing has been discussed. We know that because we moved for Semenyo. We couldn't get Semenyo. We've had some talks with Diamonde. That would be very expensive. But we are considering midfielder. Obviously, we have the midfielders we want. Adam Morton, Baleba, Anderson. They are the midfielders we want. They're not set to be available until the summer. So we know there's a meeting going on to discuss left wings, to discuss midfielders. They said that United would rather do a loan deal. And this has been reported by a few other journalists over the last few days. Now, interestingly, Ben Jacobs said this in regards to a left winger, and this was said last week by Ben Jacobs. If Man United make a move for a player this month, it'll be somebody who's on their list for the summer, or if someone like Jan Diamonde, who could have significant interest, is available, they'll need to move fast on them. So he's saying, look, And he's saying what every other journalist is saying, like, if Man United make a move this January, it'll be someone they'd be willing to sign in the summer. United aren't going to bring in someone in January for the sake of it. I wouldn't bring in Ruben Loftus. I can't speak today. I wouldn't bring in Ruben Loftus-Cheek for the sake of it. I wouldn't. I'd rather not sign anyone than bring in someone like Loftus-Cheek or McKennie. I want to bring in a midfielder, but I also don't want to bring in a midfielder because it's a midfielder. I want to bring in a midfielder I think could improve us. João Gomez, James Garner, for example. If Man United move for a player at left wing as well as midfield, they kind of want it to be someone they go for in the summer, which is why Yan Diamonde is one to watch. But it has been said by many sources Leipzig will not sell in January. Semenyo was gone. I think in the summer we look at Yan Diamonde. I'd also look at Iliman Ndiaye, who's not really played left wing this season but can play left wing. I would also look at that. But I think the left wing market is small. But Yan Diamonde is definitely going to be one to watch. And even Ben Jacobs said he's a player that had a lot of interest. But midfield is priority over left winger. And if we are going to sign someone in the January window, it needs to be a midfielder more than anything for me. And this is what Alex Crook has now said. On Man United making January signings, Alex Crook said, they've got the name of a couple potential targets that I'm just working on double sourcing. If they bring anybody in, it will be a midfielder, probably more likely a loan deal. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'd rather do a permanent deal. James Garner is available for 20 million. João Gomez is available for 35 million. Hayden Hackney is available for 20 million. I think they're better midfielders than a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, than a Ndidi, than a Zakaria, if I'm going to be honest. However, United want a loan deal. United are talking to a secret midfielder, and it's believed that the secret midfielder is Wilfred Ndidi. United are considering signing a midfielder on loan to bolster their hopes of UCL football. Many have been offered the chance to sign Loftus-Cheek. Talks are only at an exploratory at this stage, but the player is keen on the move. Apparently, United aren't that interested in Loftus-Cheek, according to more credible sources. He said that United have also discussed Besiktas midfielder Wilfred Ndidi. I think Wilfred Ndidi might be the secret midfield target that United are looking at. Had some injury issues, used to be in the Prem, been linked to us in the past. I think it's Ndidi. I said maybe Zakaria, but Ndidi's way more Premier League experience. Like Zakaria played about 5 games in the Premier League. I think it's Ndidi. Apparently Loftus-Cheek's been offered to us and like kind of begging for it, but we don't really want it. We're looking more at number 6 in Ndidi. We need somebody that's back up to Casemiro, so if Casemiro gets injured, we're not completely screwed. That seems to be what United are looking at. Now, for me, I'd rather spend a bit of money and go for a João Gomez or a James Garner because we're going to need 3 midfield signings in the summer. So I think getting a James Garner is still not going to stop us getting an Elliot Anderson in the summer because Elliot Anderson, Baleba, Wharton, we need at least one of them, ideally 2 of them, and then we need a third midfielder, which could be a João Gomez for cover, could be a James Garner for cover. I'd rather us go and look at James Garner, look at João Gomez and do something one of them than do a loan for Ndidi or Loftus-Cheek. I'd rather not do anything and actually get Loftus-Cheek in. I don't think he's that great, to be honest. In terms of midfield exits, it was said that Sekou Kone is still training with Lausanne, which is the Ineos own team in Switzerland, and he's already featured in a friendly with them. Club sources at Lausanne are assessing doing a decision over a loan. They're still stressing that any decision over a loan is unlikely to be made until the end of the month. Sorry, I can't read today. Club sources at Lausanne stressing that any decision over a loan are unlikely to be made till the end of the month, which is fair. Have him train with you for a month, see if you think he's good enough to go on loan. My only problem is we send Enzo Cannabia and Sekou Kone to Lausanne because they're the sister clubs of Ineos, right? But I'd rather Sekou Kone go to a club that's perfect for him that could be in the Championship League 1 than go to a Swiss club just because Ineos own it. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather us make sure, if we don't think Sekou Kone is right for this loan or Lausanne aren't 100% sure, I'd rather not send him to Lausanne on loan just because it's the sister club and go look in the Championship for the perfect club for Sekou Kone. I like that, Ineos have Nice and have Lausanne that they can loan players to, but it needs to be the right move. Talking of loan, it said that several clubs have registered interest in a loan for Tyler Fredrickson. His opportunities are set to be limited by a change in system, and they were limited anyway. And United feel that as a highly regarded prospect, he would benefit from regular minutes. I like Fredrickson. I don't think he's ready. I think he needs a loan. I think Harry Amas last season I really liked in the few minutes he got under Amrin, but you could tell he needed a loan. And Harry Amas has gone on loan. I think he's developed a lot, and I think Fredrickson's one of those players that definitely needs a loan. So I agree with that. And then last but not least, De Zerbi was asked about the Man United job because obviously he's been linked to Man United a lot, and this is what he said. As for the future, we have got to speak in the next month, in the next year. I don't know. He just said, I don't know about the future. My focus is totally on Marseille. I wanted to come here the day before a very important, very crucial game. I have no space in my head to think about other things. I feel very well in this city with these players and with the club. De Zerbi's saying what pretty much any manager would say. Now, De Zerbi has two choices. He says something like this, or he says, no, not happening, never happening, love Marseille. He didn't do the second option, he said this. This is what managers do when they're like thinking of it. And De Zerbi's thinking of it. If he didn't want to come to Man United, he'd completely shut it down there and then. He's saying, that's in the future, we can speak in a month, we can speak in a year, my focus is on Marseille. He's not saying, no, that's not happening, not thinking about it, I'm only staying at Marseille. He's not saying that. So I think that's, De Zerbi's way of saying, I'm interested in a job without saying he's interested in a job. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below on all the news. Thank you for watching. Bye.